Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Glad to have you here. Today we have a Beastmen on Chaos matchup. And so I will start with my army. I wasn't sure what Chaos was going to bring. A lot of people have been bringing Chaos Marauder heavy armies. But also, they're the Forsaken. So they have some nice threatening armor-piercing damage with the Chaos Marauders. And they also have the Forsaken, which just tear through unarmored infantry. So I wasn't quite sure what I should bring here. But what I did bring was 3 of these Gore Herd, the two-handed variant, because they got buffed, and I don't know, Chaos doesn't have any ranged stuff, so I figured these guys would be pretty good. And then I also have 4 Bestigor Herd, and I thought these guys would be great against Forsaken, which I was assuming my opponent was going to be bringing to the battle today. And because there's such a large component of Chaos armies, I did bring a ton of these Ungor Spear Herds, so I have, I think, 5 of these spread along my back line. I have 1 unit of Ungor Raiders here. I do have my Bray Shaman of Wild, who will be encouraging this side of my line, and also dropping some Devolves and other spells to keep the vigor up and do some nice damage. Over here I do have, on each flank, I do have Centaurs with great weapons, and these guys I'll be hopefully recharging some armored infantry, or catching some cav. So we'll go over, I actually do have, of course, Morgar here, who will be summoning some Chaos Spawn onto the battlefield. We will start over here for the Chaos army. He does have 3 Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes. I'm assuming this was brought to counter any large units that I would have brought. I didn't bring any large units, but these guys will tear through Bestigor Herd, so that's what he's going to be trying to target here with these guys. And I'm going to have to try and scare them off with my 1 Ungor Raider, and just try and get into combat as soon as possible, because that's the only way I'm going to prevent these guys from just tearing my line apart. As for his main line, he does have 4 units of Chaos Marauders, 2 out on each flank, supported by armored Chaos Trolls. You don't see these guys very often, but it provides some nice armor-piercing damage to these otherwise non-armor-piercing Chaos Marauders. And they do have regeneration, so even though they will flee from the battlefield, unless I have something to chase them down, they will just come right back. And then, of course, he has I like this pick, main line of Chaos Warriors with great weapons. Seeing as this is a good pick because of my army composition, I don't know if I would bring it against most Beastmen players, but in this case it worked out because I've spent a ton of money on my armored front line, and he has these cheaper, but probably will trade very well, Chaos Warriors with great weapons here. He does have a Chaos Sorcerer of Fire on foot, and then he also just has a Chaos Lord on foot. And that's because he can afford some Chosen as his kind of bodyguard here in the middle. These guys are just epic. You can see these guys, you don't get to see them on foot very often. But seeing as my lords are on foot, this won't be too bad for them, I think. Seeing as if you're trying to hunt down Malagor, who is very common to bring, you know, he won't get knocked down a ton. So I actually think this is an interesting pick, and potentially worthwhile. So we'll see. Over here you do see these Chaos Marauders have engaged, and they're going to be nicely throwing some axes into the side of my Bestigor Herd. So you can see they're already dropping 1 model. Here come my Ungor Raiders though, so I'll be opening fire. But you can see getting some nice damage on a very expensive unit, and there's really not much I can do about it. My Centaurs are coming in. I figure I can't just let them shoot at my Bestigor Herd. They can shoot at my Spear Herd, fine, that's fine, but I can't let them shoot at my very, very expensive Bestigor Herd. You can see I'm kind of moving my Spearmen and Centaurs around the flank, and I'm lining up some Spearmen to counter the only large units on the field. So I broke off my 1 extra Spearman here to go ward off the flanks, or the Marauder Horsemen, And then I'm moving my spearmen up here to blob in against wherever the trolls are going to be. So you can see I position them right behind the gore herd, who will be trying to tear those guys apart. And I'm just going to have a charge across the board here. I have Morgar keeping this side together, and my Beret Shaman over here keeping this side together. You can watch that charge of the trolls. These gore herd are just going to get torn apart by these guys. You can see, nice pulling out of the Chaos Marauder, so he's avoiding this fight that he's going to lose and pulling them back here. And we can just see kind of a main line here. I did cast Devolve over here just to give a speed boost to all of my troops, so their charge does a little bit more damage. And here, this is not going to be a fight these gore herd are going to like. They're just going to be torn apart by these armored infantry, which they are not meant to fight. They'll do some damage going down, though, so especially if I can support them with, say, Chaos Spawn. Here you can see Chaos Trolls already routing. Here my Bestigors are going to get in against the Marauders. I just need to get these guys off the field so I can start focusing down on these Centaurs. I mean, these Chaos Warriors with great weapons. Over here you can see my Ungor Raiders in a nice spot to just scare all these guys. I think I'm going to be dropping some spell over here. And my Centaurs over here just trying to take them on. You can see my Bestigor here are suffering against the Chaos Trolls. This is not the fight they want. Vile Tide coming down over here. Just kind of wanted to scare him off. Prevent him from shooting in here. And you can see I have my Encourage Aura on most of my troops, which is important for keeping that frenzy in the game as long as possible. For these guys to be cost effective, they definitely need to be supported. You can see my Ungor Raiders here just kind of preventing these guys from doing whatever they want. And I've kind of got a layered spear defense going on. You can see my Bestigors here in the middle are suffering because these Chosen are already fantastic, and they are being supported by the plus 22% weapon damage of Flaming Sword of Ruin. So they can just do a ton of damage, and these Bestigors are already going to suffer against high-tier infantry, so they're going to suffer even more against buffed-up Chosen. So that middle is going to crack here, but you can see I'm kind of winning on this side. Definitely winning against these Chaos Marauders, but my middle has cracked. You can see my Ungor Raiders coming up here trying to get a good shot in. My Centaurs charge these Chaos Marauders and wipe them out. And here come my other unit of Centaurs, right into the back of these Chaos Warriors. I wanted to kind of wrap up these fights so that I could turn on these Chosen. Here you can see the Chaos Trolls not doing well in this fight with the Spearmen. My Ungor Raiders got a little too close, so I had to micro them back out. And you can see here I'm just trying to ping-pong around, but while my micro was not, while I was not paying attention, these throwing axes Marauder Horsemen just like did a number on my Centaurs here. But I'm going to get a nice charge here. We can slow-mo watch this charge. And these Chaos Marauders are not going to like this. There's no leadership nearby. And these guys' leadership is going to tank, because there's just that devastation there. Over here you can see Chaos Trolls routing. These Chaos Marauders are now shaken, but that will hopefully change soon. And you can see these Gore Herd again getting wrapped up, so this is not looking too good. I do have this Bestigor back here who will be able to turn and help, but here come the Chosen, and here come some more Chaos Warriors with great weapons. And you can see his two Lords here are still very healthy. Now my Ungor Raiders have a nice sight line on these Marauder Horsemen. So I'll be getting some nice shots in there. I do route these guys. We'll watch as they shoot a volley in. But you can see this side kind of holding it together, but barely. I have a little pocket of resistance in here, and I do have these Centaurs who are going to be a threat to these Chosen. I am going to charge this Chaos Sorcerer, try and knock him over, and then I think I'm going to charge this back line. You can see spawning some Chaos Spawn in here, which is definitely going to help. Spearmen in reserve, and here comes that charge. So this is a great way for the Beastmen to deal with high value troops that otherwise they will have almost no chance of beating. These Centaurs with great weapons are a must bring against almost any faction, because almost any faction in this game can bring armored infantry, and they'll do well against just about anything. Here you can see a Devolve coming down. So just trying to break this leadership. I have the fear of the Chaos Spawn. I have the rear charge, and I'm bringing in some support. Over here you can see I will soon be turning these Marauder Horse or these Ungor Raiders around and running them back to this pocket of resistance. You can see I'm doing that with these Spearmen, another Vile Tide coming down, keeping all my units fresh and in the fight. You can see all these guys fresh. Even this routing Bestigor herd is fresh just because of those spells. And that's why this Bray Shaman is useful. And Devolve is not a horrible spell. The -8 leadership is very helpful. Here you can see it is wavering these guys. I can't see that. Oh boy. Well, I can't see that their leadership right now, but they are broken here, so anything I can do there is good. And I am going to, I think, try and turn some more into Chaos Spawn, or I turn somebody into Chaos Spawn here. So I have 2 spawns, and I have 2 more recharging via Morgar. And you can see him over here just tanking out 2 whole units here by himself. Does not care. My Ungor Raider still shooting, doing some nice damage, routed off one of those guys. But now it's time to run away. You can see these Spearmen kind of running back, bringing in all my loose troops. Now that he's chosen off the field, I'm feeling pretty confident. There's not much left. He does have his Lord somewhere. His Lord was chasing this guy off, so definitely a mistake there. His Lord was off chasing these Bestigors when he needed to be in that front line, supporting those chosen in that fight so they didn't break. Vile Tide coming down there, just disrupting their charge a little bit so I can charge in the rest of my troops. Nice charge, and now I'm going to pull these Centaurs out. I have these Ungor Raiders here who he just has ignored, and so I'm going to get some nice shots right into the back of these troops. And even though they're armored, it's still going to be doing some decent damage. And we should go check what their armor-piercing damage bonus is, but I think it's very, very low. And it's just going to impact the morale here, and that's going to be that. I think another Vile Tide coming down, boosting everybody's vigor. Definitely love that. Love the Bray Shaman of the Wild with the Beastmen. So there you can see Pyrrhic victory against my opponent Nigron. And yeah, I really like this army. You can see these Chaos Warriors with great weapons did very well. This one not so much. But these other 2 definitely pulling their weight. And you can see they shut down a number of my Bestigor herd. 2 1,000 gold units getting 10 kills each is just awful. Just horrible. Like, I was really expecting more Forsaken. Over here, I think these guys would have been better used if he had microed them a little bit more, not kept them in such a huge blob. If he had kind of moved them around, and then I had very little mobile force left at the end there. I did have the Centaurs, but these Marauder Horsemen can do a ton of damage as the Centaurs are trying to run them down. And that would have been a great way to kind of distract my Centaurs and kind of let his main line just do whatever it wanted. But those Centaurs on the left flank just went around and crushed some of those Chaos Warriors in the back that would otherwise be getting a lot more kills here. But you can see still did pretty respectable, and they did almost eliminate my Centaur on the right side. For a 600 gold unit, that is a decent bit of damage. And you can see these Chaos Trolls getting a decent amount of kills. I definitely don't think they're a great bring against almost anything. They're just so shady on the leadership. It's very hard to keep them in the fight unless you have something like Aspiring Champions nearby, or something like that. You can see these chosen with great weapons. They slaughtered a Bestigor. And that's really all they did that battle. And another unit of Chaos Warriors would have almost done the same thing. So if he had taken that and maybe bought some Warhounds or something, I think it would have been a much better bring. I think he could have even gotten rid of these and gotten more Chaos Martyr meat shields. Would have been a better move there. It's just so hard for these chosen to become cost effective. And you can see these Chaos Martyrs not doing very well. These Lords kind of just cutting through the middle. The Chaos Sorcerer of Fire drops some nice spells there on the middle, helping the main line. But you can see my Gore Herd just got slaughtered. My spearmen did what they do. They just held. They were going to meet shields. Decent kills on my Centaurs. Good kills on, I think, 2 of my Bestigors here. This was the one that killed the Chaos Marauder on the far left side, which explains its higher kills and surprising health. I think the Chaos Spawn must have gotten some kills, because I really don't think... That might just be my poor math skills, but I don't think this adds up to 564. So, anyways, great game of my opponent, and how would you take on Chaos with the Beastman? Tell me about it in the comments. Anyways, thanks so much. That's that.